Yes, we've got more in the tank.
Well, getting ready up at the start. These are the 9 nations. And, of course, Hungary, with their great stars, are the dominant force. But they've brought a development crew here. Here are Poland, who are right out on the far side. And the 2 up front are actually out of the boat to finish second. Romanians here, they were 8th in Europe last year, but who knows, they were looking pretty bright in qualifying for the final here yesterday. Absolutely delighted because they came in ahead of the Ukraine here in lane number 3. Direct qualifiers. Lane 4, another direct qualifier here, the French, who were 7th in Europe last year. And then next to them in lane number 5 are the Belarusians. Belarus were the bronze medalists, so take out Hungary, take out Germany. You're looking at the French quartet at the moment, who were 7th, but could well pose a much stronger challenge. And here are the Belarus crew. Now, this is very much the favorite crew here. They also qualified in 1:32, which is, apart from the Ukrainians, who also had a 1:32 time, 3 or 4 seconds faster than anybody else. The Russians, 6th in Europe, 6th in the world, but 3rd in Europe last season. And now Denmark. Emma Jørgensen and Henrietta Engel Hansen, they're in the bow of that boat. The K2 1,000 meter world champions from Moscow. So you can understand the intention, Malcolm, can't you, that the Danish are building a women's K4.
Yeah, absolutely, and very young paddler. Jørgensen in the front. She is a fantastically talented young paddler, so we're going to see a lot more of her in the years to come.
And then Portugal 2 away, and Hungary closest to you. And this is a development crew. The big stars, not here.
No, but you've got to be careful as well, haven't you, with the Hungarians? You just don't know who they're going to put in. They've got some younger paddlers in this, but they could still be a very, very good competitive crew. But yes, you're right. They're keeping their powder dry, really, with their top paddlers. They're back in Hungary, training hard, and they'll come out probably for the one or two of the World Cups.
Yeah, including the legendary Katalin Kovac.
Yes.
Still paddling, still hungry.
Yeah, she had a baby last year, and she's back now, isn't she? So, yeah, obviously we'll be expecting great things from her because she's delivered so many times in the past.
So, the final of the women's K4 Olympic category over 500 meters. Hungary, their #1 crew, not here. Their development crew at the bottom of your screen, and away we go. And that was just as even as you could get.
That was actually, and the start's really important. Remember, it's 500 meters now, so it's a shorter distance, a minute and a half, so 90 seconds. Really flying paddle strokes, so important. They build the stroke rate up. They'll be up at 120, 130 strokes a minute, and it looks like the French actually got away to a very good start.
Yeah, they've got some talented paddlers, particularly in the stern of that boat, Sarah Trill. And this crew was 7th, but you're looking at the Belarus crew now, the crew who were bronze medalists at the Worlds, behind Hungary, behind Germany last year. They're in lane #5, and they're flying.
Yeah, they're going really well, actually. It was the Belarusians, my mistake. The French are right up there, but Belarusians looking very strong, really dynamic paddle stroke, really locking on. It's only a very short paddle stroke, but locking on at the front of the stroke, which is so important. There they are in picture in K4. They've got to keep it together, those bodies rocking, the legs driving together, but they're pulling away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, 180 meters to go, and Belarus looking solid here, but who's going to get silver and bronze? Ukraine very much in there in lane #3, and also on the other side of the Belarus, the Russians beginning to come through. Don't either rule out the Polish on the far side in lane 1. And there's a real burn on here for silver and bronze medals. Still Belarus in the lead, coming to the line now. 5 paddle strokes to go for the Belarus crew, but coming through very quickly. Ukraine probably in second place there, and Russia take the bronze, and just missing out Portugal on the near side. Well, that was some performance by Maharita Makneva, Vola Credenza, Alexandra Grishina and Marina Litvinchuk. They've slightly reorganized the boat this season, but that was effective.
Yes, it's worked. They're such great crew boat paddlers, the Belarusians. They're able to mix and match and come out the K2, come in the K4, switch positions around and still paddle so well. They were very dynamic. They leapt out of the start, really did, lifted the stroke rate. And the race is really over in a blur because the stroke's going so fast. You've got, it's very difficult to latch onto that stroke. The stroke takes hardly any time at all in the water. They've got to all latch on at the same time. And they were doing that really, really well and pulled ahead of the field. They had a length on the rest of the field at one point. So very, very strong.
And it doesn't always happen, and it doesn't always mean much, but interesting that those two crews, Belarus and Ukraine, were the crews who qualified directly in from the heats, and those were the two crews that actually put up the 1:32 times in the heats yesterday, and that form has been carried forward to today's final.
Yeah, I think it's always a funny one, that's, you know, whether you do a semi-final or not, and sometimes it can be difficult if you have a delay of a few days between the races. But if the races are one day after another, going straight into the final, it can be a useful thing just to relax and think, I've got there, now we've got to put together our best race. And the Belarusians did that very well, a really good demonstration of how to paddle a K4.
Yeah, a spread of 5 seconds across the whole field, a little bit more than that. The Danes, as you can see there, in 6th place, but that's also very much a work in progress, as we suggested with the Hungarians down there in 8th place. These are all incredibly talented athletes. The medal ceremony for the women's K4, the Russians having just received their bronze medals from Andrei Yelench from Slovenia, new board member for the European Canoe Association, and a fantastic driving force for both sprint, slalom and downriver, every form of canoeing in his country. And here the silver medalist representing the Ukraine, and this is Maria Kічасова, Maria Povch, Anastasiya Тодорова and Inna Gryshun getting their silver medals. The Ukrainians just in the past moments notching up their first gold medal of these European Championships. So a good start to them for the season, but you always just have a little question mark. Have they tapered? Have they peaked a little earlier than everybody else? It's not to take anything away from them. It's just to recognize that people have different regimes as they build up to their primary targets for the season. For all these athletes, the target is ultimately the World Championships, because that is the qualifying opportunity for Rio 2016. And delight from the Belarus women's 4. 1:35.58 their winning time, a full 1.5 seconds ahead of the Ukraine, a full 2 seconds and a bit over Russia. So a decisive performance, Malcolm.
Absolutely, yeah, they paddled really, really well. As I said, very dynamic, very strong, great start to the season. As you've said, we'll wait and see how the season pans out. You know, are they in great shape physically? Have they peaked for this? Are they just seeing it as a competition to do through the season? But, you know, that'll give them confidence. And the great thing about these paddlers is they're interchangeable. They could take one of the paddlers out, put another paddler from a K2 or another K4, and you wouldn't know it. They're very well drilled. They work really well together. And that's important as the season progresses, because if anybody gets injured or their performance drops off, they can put another paddler in, and it won't make much difference to the crew.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Belarus.
Well, as we look forward to the men's K2 1000, just to mention that we'll be bringing you the World Cup sprint regattas from Montemor in Portugal. Those come up on the 16th and 17th of May. Malcolm and myself will be hosting that for you. Hope to have your company. And then we go to Duisburg on the 23rd and 24th of May for the second of the 3 World Cups. And the way things are panning out, those will be the most decisive races, or perhaps the final clues, shall we say, as to who might be winning medals at the European Games in Baku, the inaugural European Games. But then some may have even